Moderation, right? We're going to talk about the food colorings as well and how that affects anxiety, depression, and irritability. So these are some other things that I give as a handout to clients. This is in our workbook as well. And these are the things that we tell them to eliminate. If let's say we try the diet and the vitamins first and food coloring. Then if that doesn't work, we might try the big ones, which is gluten. This is important. Gluten, high fructose corn syrup, and dairy. I've had kids go off gluten on Friday and been in my social skills group for a year and not making friends on Monday, comes back on Monday with no gluten all weekend, and he's applying everything we learned in the group. And he racked up a ton of points because I give points throughout the group. And that was our last session. We got phone calls from the school all the time. After that, it stopped. Had another kid, we took him off gluten, or before we took him off gluten, he would get nervous and anxious and had trouble articulating. He was 6 years old, but he would be crawling all over the place, all over my office. And then the next time we did the vitamins, didn't work. Then we took him off gluten. The next time he came in, he was sat in the chair and he was asking me questions. And he was articulating fine. He was calm. I got all kinds of stories like that. Had another boy was getting 2 calls from the school. He was 6th grade, saw him off and on over the years, did the vitamins, did the diet. And again, most of my clients, the vitamins and diet, that's all we need. But then the next step is the elimination piece. This is where we go in and we'll go, okay, let's see if there's some things we can eliminate. Or if you want to get tested, you can do some food allergy testing and find out if you're allergic to these things. There is a trick with gluten though. Gluten, you can have an intolerance to it. If you're allergic to it, you'll have celiac, and for most people, you'll have some really bad symptoms if you have celiac. But there's some people that are intolerant. So I did the IgG blood test myself for gluten, and I was not allergic to gluten. But as soon as I eat it, I get itchy elbows, and I get a rash on my knuckles and my eyelids if I eat it. I stopped eating gluten for 6 months, went to France, had a crepe, had to have a crepe. Okay, never been to Europe before. You got to do a crepe and a croquet sandwich if you go. That's like good stuff, right? So I go and I get that, and 15 minutes later I had a headache. I took an enzyme for gluten, and the headache was gone in 15 minutes. It was a bad headache. It was in the back of my head. And so people go, oh, well, in Europe they have better wheat and stuff. And so it's not just genetically modified wheat, because I don't think theirs is. But it's just some people have trouble digesting gluten. So the boy that I was talking about who's getting 2 calls from the school from probably like around 1st grade, he's in 5th or 6th grade, and the mom came back to me and we did the diet, the vitamins, we saw some improvement. Then we did the gluten, no improvement at all. Got him tested, it was gluten, high fructose corn syrup, and dairy. Took him off that, mom came in, Jim, we've had 10 days, no calls. No calls from the school at all, 10 days, that's never happened, Jim. Can you believe this poor mom having calls from the school all these years? It's usually 3 or 4 sessions sometimes, and we do it. And sometimes it takes us a while to figure it out. Okay? And then it also takes a while for them to buy in, or the kids are cheating. So I had one mom come in one day, it was so funny. She's like, Jim, he's doing so good. We're not doing the food coloring, and we're not doing the sugar for lunch. And when they came in, it was lunchtime, and the McDonald's was convenient. So they came in, I saw the McDonald's bag, and he came in, and he was so excited. I'm doing so good, Jim. And halfway through the session, he starts yawning. And then he starts looking around. He's having trouble focusing. And I go, what did you have? What did you have at McDonald's? Oh, I had a chicken sandwich. And I'm like, okay, so did you eat the bread? Yes, I did. What did you have with it? French fries. More carbs. And he's sitting. We're not moving, right? And then I said, what else? Did you have anything to drink? Oh, I had that new frozen lemonade slushy thing, which has got that yellow food coloring. And then the mom goes, she looks at him, she looks at me, and she goes, oh my gosh, he's been doing so great. But it was a teachable moment for her, because she was doing so good for so long, and then she let him have this, and then he was totally off task. On task when he came in, but then after 30 minutes, boom, just like clockwork. I have kids come in at 4 o'clock, and they're yawning, and like, what'd you have for a snack? What do you think they say? Carbs. So processed meats, Talk about, eating, non-processed meats is really important. And then breads, if you're going to do bread, if they are gluten-free, there's some great breads out there. There's one called UDI. There's a millet chia one. It sounds horrible, but it's a really good. I had a 7-year-old come in. He hated the gluten-free bread, but he came in. He goes, Jim, thank you for the, because his mom wasn't letting him have bread that tasted like bread, and this finally did taste just like bread. And he's like, Jim, thank you. I just love that UDI bread before I could even ask him. So organic fruits and vegetables. I tell the kids, I'm like, when they hear organic, they just think it's just nasty. And I'm like, well, really what it is it's vegetables and fruits with your pesticide on the side. Here's the actual chart that we have available in the workbook. That's, okay, here's what to eat for breakfast. And I break it down to protein and fruit for breakfast. And then there's smoothies options, there's pure protein, there's balance bars, detour. The carbohydrates are no more than 2 times the amount of carbs. So it's all there. What to avoid, what not to have in the morning, pancakes, bagels, Pop-Tarts, all that stuff, but they can have it for dessert when I'll show you the dinner slide. They can do Greek yogurt, they can do almond butter, peanut butter, make a double or triple it if you're going to add it to, have it with an apple or something as a snack, okay? Salad with protein, which I know a lot of kids won't eat salad, so then we do a half sandwich. When I go to a party, this is a guy thing, I think. Maybe ladies like to do this too, but when there's a platter of meat and then there's those big buns, I skip the buns. I just want to eat the meat. I eat the meat by itself and I'll dip it in mustard with the toothpick or whatever. So I tell the boys that. They're like, yeah, I love meat, And so, sometimes you can just throw in a handful of meat in a Ziploc bag with a mustard packet and they're good with the trail mix or a protein bar. Meats, vegetables, nuts, all that kind of stuff at lunch. Protein bars, again, as an option. I don't recommend that all the time for a meal. What to avoid, whole sandwiches. Sometimes, think about bread. When I was a kid, a slice of bread was a square. Now a slice of bread is bigger. It's rectangular and thick. Am I right? So now bread is about 4 servings, and then they're sitting in class. So fried foods, French fries, tater tots, I tell them, okay, but you can have that. If you're going to have it for dinner, have it with your meal. Have it with your protein, not just have carbs, but not just have spaghetti, not just have rice. Have it with a protein. And rice is 1/3 of a cup as a serving size, which is just about this much on the side of your plate. It's not a meal. It's not supposed to be a meal. So desserts, we avoid the desserts during the day. And then at dinner time, poultry and seafood. So we have breakfast is protein and fruit. Lunch is protein and vegetables. Salad with meat, or the other options we discussed. And then we go back to protein and fruit for snacks. And then we have at dinner time, poultry and seafood. So that actually takes 4 hours to digest. So if you eat at 6 or 7, you're digested by bedtime. Then your brain thinks it's time to sleep because your stomach is what? Empty. Caffeine after 2, not recommended. No Monster drinks. Oh my gosh, Monster drinks. Those things are horrible. The kids that are drinking these energy drinks, having high blood pressure, there's 1/4 of our kids with high blood pressure in our society. Part of it is energy drinks and their diet. Salad and vegetables, again, for dinner. But again, that's where you're going to add the pasta with the protein or the rice with the protein. If you want to have pancakes, have it as your dessert. Have it with your meal, not before bed. Because you want the carbs to mix with the protein so you don't get another spike crash and then they're cranky and miserable trying to get them to do their bedtime routine. Now what's interesting, when I showed you the chart, the green line goes like this at night. It's not a fast drop, it's a slow drop in a wind down. It sets them up to sleep better. Calcium, by the way, is going to be recommended at night. That helps you sleep. It's like a warm glass of milk at bedtime. So with